No, it just shows the pen. Okay, 2, 6. You got to understand how to graph an absolute value. And some other special functions. So here we go. You got f of x. Write this right here. F of x, g of x, and h of x. There are 3 functions, and this is function notation. F of x. Let's make a table. An xy table. Let's do the same for g of x. XY table. Let's do the same for h of x. So we got 3 tables to match our 3 functions. And let's all use the same input. Kaylin? Let's use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So we're going to use 5 inputs on all 3 of them. -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Alright, now, Kevin, f of x, here's the rule. The function's right here, square root of x, or not square root, absolute value of x. You're going to take your input right here, and you're going to plug it in to x. So, when you plug in -2, what's the absolute value of -2? What's your answer? 2. So that's our y, that's our output. What happens when you plug a -1 in? It becomes positive 1. What happens when you plug in 0? 0. What about 1? 1 is positive 1. When you plug a 2 in, it's a positive 2. So your homework, we're going to graph absolute value. This is for right now, this is going to be the best way. A table with 5 inputs. Now graph them. Plot them. You've got a dot at -2, 2. Dot at -1, 1. Dot at 0, 0. Over 1, up 1. Over 2, up 2. Draw a line through your points. You got a V. You've got a V. Why do you have a V? Why doesn't it go down below the x-axis? Because your y is going to always be positive. So it's not going to have anything down here in the negatives. It's always going to be positive. But do the same for g of x. We'll get you started. G of x is this function right here. Absolute value of x, but then you're going to plus 2 at the end. So let me get a different color. If we go -2, and if we plug -2 in, what's the absolute value of -2? But then when you're done, you got a plus 2. So you're going to get a 4. -1, what's the absolute value of -1? 1 plus 2. So do the same for your h of x, and then graph all 3 in the same quadrant, in the same order, in the same coordinate plane. So they're all the same, but they're in different spots. This one looks like this. Your g of x should look like this, and then your very last one. What was your table? Fill in the table real quick. Well, -2 is x. What's y? 0. -1. -2. -1. 0. So -2, 0. Does it look like this? So they all look the same, but how are they different? And what made them different? This number. What does this number do? The number outside the absolute value. What is the plus 2 and the minus 2? What did they do? They just shifted it up 2 or down 2. So what if this would have been plus 8? It would have been the same graph, just up 8. Like right here. Or if it would have been minus 8, it would have been all the way down here. Try this one. You guys see if you can get this one. So you got an absolute value. Best way to tackle it. Make a table xy. And let's always choose -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Choose those 5 x's for your input. Find the outputs, dot them, line through them. Yes. You plug -2 out, or plug it in and you get 3 out. You plug a -1 in, what do you get out? 2. If you plug 0 in, what do you get out? 1. You plug 1 in, you get 0, and you plug 2 in, -1. Now look at this. What does this do? What does this guy right here do? The -1 inside of it. So -2 up 3, over 1 up 2, 0 up 1, over 1, 0, negative. Hold on. It's got to be a positive 1. So you kind of have a check looking thing, a backwards check. So what did the -1 do? It moved it left or right. Which way did it move it? It moved it to the right one. Look at your other graphs. Look at these guys. They all centered out on the y-axis. But if you put a -1 in the middle, it's going to move it over 1 to the right. And they're always going to look like a what? A V. Okay, this guy right here. Let's do this, the identity function. Make a table, x, y. Now your function is y equals x. You've seen this before, and it's kind of intimidating to look at, but it's actually pretty easy. If you do your table, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Here we go. Jordan, if you plug a -2 into this function, what is it going to spit out? Plug a -2 in for x, and what do you get for y? You get -2. You plug -1 in, and what do you get out? You plug 0 in, what do you get out? So no matter what you plug in, you get out the exact same thing. That's why it's called the identity function. Whatever you plug in, that's what you get out. So graph it. If you graph it, it's going to be left 2, down 2. It's going to be just like this, Shaw. You're going to have a dot over 1, up 1 every time, right? Draw a line through all your dots. That's the identity function. Let me ask you this. If that's y equals x, Joel, what is y equals -x? What is that going to look like? Same thing going the negative direction. It would be just like this. So that would be y equals a -x right there. Okay, what are the last ones? What about these ones? These ones you just have to have memorized. Kendra, these are the easiest ones. Y equals -4. What is the graph of that going to look like? Where? Which line? On the y-axis, -4, you got a dot. Then what? Does your line go up and down or left or right? Left and right. It goes through it. It's a horizontal graph. Somehow you just got to memorize these ones. What is the slope of this line? Osvaldo, what's the slope of this right here? A flat line, a horizontal line, what's the slope? M equals? M equals what? 0. So if you come across M equals 0, Antonio, you know it's going to be a flat line, right? And your equation is y equals 4. What if you got this equation, x equals 2? Kinnan, what's the graph? X equals 2. You see that equation, what does the graph look like? Where? X is 2. Find the x-axis right here. Put a dot on 2. You're going to have a vertical line right through there. And Jackson, what's the slope right here? What's this slope? This one's 0 right here. A horizontal 0. What's the slope here? Not 2. It's not 1. The slope is? Melanie? What's the slope? undefined. No solution. Undefined slope. So you just got to memorize. Undefined slope, you're going to get a vertical line. Zero slope, horizontal. It would look like this. It would look like 2 divided by 0. And this would look like 0 divided by -4. Brandon, if 0's on top, that's going to give you a 0. If 0's on the bottom, that's going to give you undefined. Okay?